Hey everybody, today is January 16th, so we'll be looking at January 15th MTG stocks. Got a couple of price spikes here, and one that's just Theros Beyond, so it's not a huge deal, currently at least. And then we have another one that's actually kind of interesting. Let's see, as we can see, Theros Beyond is kind of all over the charts. We've looked at Yavimaya Coast before, and it's slowly dripping down a little bit, at least in the Apocalypse. So it's hopefully going back to a more stable state. Lazov keeps increasing, signets keep increasing. Let's see here. Anything else kind of noticeable? A lot of Theros down here, but that's expected for now. Alright. So let's go ahead, and there's still Oko, still slowly dropping a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to our first card of the night, which is going to be Fossa Deep Dwelling. This card went from 786 to 1799, but this is from Theros Beyond Death. This will be a new card coming out. So Fossa Deep Dwelling is a 3-colorless blue legendary enchantment creature god. She's basically the Merfolk lady, Merfolk god. She's a 6/5, and she has indestructible. As long as devotion is to blue is less than 5, Fossa isn't a creature. So basically you need to have, for devotion it comes to how many like little pips of blue that you have on your cards. So like creature tokens won't count towards your devotion because they don't actually have like any blue in their cost. But that's how that works. Fossa, I believe, would give her, so basically if you 1 to devotion of blue. So if you had 4 other mana symbols in the, so like if someone had 2 blue symbols on the top, that would be 2, counting towards 2 to your devotion, for instance. Anyways, so she isn't a creature if it's less than 5. Then at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So kind of nice. It's basically a way to flicker stuff. It's your end step only. And it's up to, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. So it won't really like save your creatures from something unless someone casts something on your end step, and then, but that'd probably be as a reaction to your trigger, so it wouldn't help you anyways. But beyond that, it's more for to get enter the battlefield effects. Now, and then the other thing here is that you can pay 3 colorless, a blue, and you can tap another target creature. So basically kind of like tap down your opponents and a little bit stacksy, I guess. But I don't see it being like a crazy good commander, because I will say that blue does have some pretty decent enter the battlefield effects. Like Mold Drifter, for instance, which is a little fish boy. That he's a 2/2 flyer that enters the battlefield. You draw 2 cards, and then he costs 5 usually, or you can evoke him for 3, and evoke basically you sacrifice him as soon as he comes to the battlefield. So basically 3 mana, draw 2 cards. But there are a lot of other blue cards that I guess do this. I still see it being better in a more colors deck. So if we go to instance for Animato, or Creepy Baby is like to refer to, she is white, black, blue, which is Esper. There we go. So in that one, white has a lot of enter the battlefield effects, black has a few decent ones, and then of course there's blue. And putting Fossa in the Creepy Baby deck, I think, would be pretty good, because you keep getting those triggers off and off and off. And she's very hard to get rid of. And in a three color deck, you probably won't ever get her to be a creature, which is probably more what you want, because it's a lot easier to get rid of indestructible enchantments than it is indestructible creatures. But kind of interesting. I don't think it'll be a great commander, but we'll see. Let's go and go to our second card of the night. This one was kind of an interesting one that I didn't even expect to see. So this is Niv-Mizzet Reborn. He went from 351 to 709, and he's from More of the Spark, a recent set. He cost white, blue, black, red, green, or Wooburg. He is a legendary creature dragon avatar. He's a 6/6 flying. And when he enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them. Put the chosen cards in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So basically what this comes to is you reveal the top 10 cards of your library, and for each color pair, so from what I understand, it's basically you're looking at the guild colors, so like Orzhov and Dimir and etc. Just the 2 color combinations. And basically, on those color combinations, you'll draw any 1 card. So if you had 2 Dimir cards out of the top 10, you can only take 1 of those cards. But if you had a Dimir and an Orzhov and a Gruul, then you can take all 3 of those cards. And if you by some chance got, if all 10 were different combinations, then you can take all 10 into your hand. I've seen this in a couple of the competitive decks, just like online and stuff. I don't know if that's the reason or if he's found a meta somewhere else. I would assume it's Commander. But for being, since he's a mythic rare and he has a potential way to draw you out, I'd probably say at minimum you're probably going to get 2 cards as long as you build your deck around it. So 6/6 flying, draw 2 cards, Commander, and then since you have all the colors, you can probably flicker him really easily, like Fossa, for instance. If you can get Fossa out, then you can just keep every turn, just keep drawing. So maybe there's probably some infinite combo, who knows. But I always like this card. I don't know if I have one laying around. I kind of hope I do now, but I probably don't with our luck. But neat card. Let's go ahead and go to our 3rd card of the night. This is Triad of the Elysian Grove. This went from 1414 to 1249. And it's another Ethereal's Beyond Death, so take it with a grain of salt. But this card, when I saw it, I was like, whoa! I like this card quite a bit. So Dryad of the Elysian Grove is a 2 colorless green enchantment creature. Nymph is a 2/4, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So what I like about this card is, so 3 mana, 2/4 is okay. I mean, that's kind of whatever. The good thing about being a 2/4 is that with the 4 health, he's at a lightning bolt range. That's kind of like, I don't know if that's really a standard people put creatures on, but usually people are like, oh, well, if he has 3 health, then he's lightning bolt him. Now in Commander, I don't know how true that is. I don't know how many people actually run lightning bolts in Commander. But regardless, it's kind of like, okay, 4 health is pretty decent. It'll be harder to remove it with a red pinging spell, or at least more costly. Now, of course, the other things here to realize is that, so you may play an additional land on each of your turns. There are other creatures that are like this, which is really nice because it basically gives you more consistency, but then you tack on that lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. That's really, really cool. This reminds me of the Prismatic Omen, which is basically a colorless green. It's an enchantment, and it's this effect here, lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. But stacking both of these on one card I feel is very powerful. Maybe not for standard, but for a commander, I feel like this is a card that, mono green, this is okay. Like you get additional land out per turn, sure. I feel like there's probably a little bit better. But when you start getting into 3 colors, I feel like this is very, very useful just because you're mana fixing a lot easier, you're mana ramping, and especially if you are doing like a landfall deck, I feel like this will be really cool. So I'm pretty excited about this. I hope this goes down. It probably won't with my luck, but well, it'll probably go down from here, but it probably will be not terribly expensive, but semi-expensive. And then we'll go to our 4th card of the night, which is the Mox Opal. So Mox Opal went from 93.08 to 83.25. This is a fairly expensive card. And even here it shows that it's gone down even more. At least here, like this was based on MTG stocks. This is based on Scryfall. But so let's go and get that Scars of Mirrodin version. There we go. So this was recently banned, like a couple of days ago now, or actually I think Monday, so about 3 days ago. And basically, this was a very powerful artifact in Modern. They banned it along with Oko. Poor Oko. You've been banned basically everywhere. But what Mox Opal does is it costs 0, is a legendary artifact. It has Metalcraft. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So basically, if you have Mox Opal out, you need to have 2 other artifacts to actually use its ability. But the fact that it is a 0 mana rock with a slightly downside is still pretty good. If you were running an artifact deck and you can afford one of these, you would probably put it in there just because 0 mana rocks are very powerful. You can basically Forest, Soul Ring, Mox Opal, Signet. I don't even know. You could get out. There's ways to do it, but it's very powerful. But now that it's been banned in Modern, I assume the price will fall fairly quickly. Maybe not quickly, but it'll fall a little bit if nothing else. In Commander, it can still be pretty good, especially for artifact decks. Now, if you don't have enough artifacts, I'd be wary about putting this in your Commander deck, just because since you have a 100-card deck, you have to realize that you may not be able to get 3 artifacts out too quickly. Now, if you're running a more high competitive deck, you probably have a lot of mana rocks, and so Mox Opal is probably a little bit easier to get out with all the mana rocks that you do have. But just keep in mind, hopefully it'd be nice to experiment with this card a little bit more, since hopefully it'll go cheaper, but it probably won't be in my price range. And then we're going to look at the new thing that just came out today, or announced at least today, which is the Secret Lair Chinese New Year Rats. I don't know my feeling on this specifically in the sense of price-wise and Secret Lairs coming out again. I won't go into that too much. I'm more here about looking at the cards and the artwork. So let's go ahead and go through those. So we have the Marron Gnar. This is kind of like the quintessential rat commander. If you're playing rats, I would say this would probably be your commander. So the Marron Gnar, I can't even say it. MG, that's his name now. MG, he costs 3 colorless, black, black. He is a legendary creature, rat rogue. He is a 2/3, and all rats have fear, which is pretty powerful. Fear, I believe, is creatures that aren't black or artifact creatures can't block you. So if they don't have either of those, you're basically unblockable. And then his other ability is tap, sacrifice a rat, create X/1/1 black rat creature tokens where X is the number of rats you control. Also very good. So basically, with rats, you probably will have some tokens being made in some way, at least. And with this, it's basically, if you have 2 rat tokens out, and you have Marron Gnar out, you tap them, you sacrifice that rat. But since you have Marron Gnar and the other rat token, you have 2 rats, and then you're going to make 2 1/1 rats. So now you have, in total, you'll have Marron Gnar, your first original token, and then your 2 other tokens that you just made. The next turn, if you don't play anything, you sacrifice off a rat. Now you have 3 rats total. You make 3 more, and now you're at 6. And it's basically like Krinko in that sense, except for you do have to sacrifice a rat. But the fact that he gives all rats fear makes it very, very spooky. The only bad thing is that there's probably isn't a huge amount of ways to give all your rats haste. So there isn't probably like, you can't just swing in all at once. I don't think there is. If this was Rakdos, it'd be very easy to do that. But regardless, pretty good rat card. If you're doing rats, he is your boy. But regardless, the art is, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Mystical Ninjas. Mystical Ninjas is an older video game that was pretty exclusively Japan. They've released a few games over here. I think they've released 3 in America. But it reminds me of the guy in blue. I think his name's like Ibisumaru, something like that. But he kind of reminds me of that kind of style. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but that's more of a generic kind of style, I think, when it comes to like ninjas or whatever. But the artwork's pretty nice. I like how he has his little rat. I don't know if they're sons or whatever you want to call them. They're all having a good time there. I like that. I like the artwork in general. Let's go and go to the next one, which is Pack Rat, which costs 1 colorless, a black. It is a creature rat. Pack rats' power and toughness are each equal to the number of rats you control. So if you have 4 rats, including pack rat, that means his power and toughness is a 4/4. Then you can pay 2 and a black. You can discard a card and create a token that's a copy of pack rat. It's pretty nice. So let's say if you have just kind of a whatever bad rat in your hand, you're like, okay, well, I just rather have another pack rat, because basically what that does is it gives you another potentially big rat. So if you had 10 rats on the field, your pack rat's going to be a 10/10, and you can make a copy of pack rat, and now you have 2 11/11s basically, and you can get pretty good. It's pretty good if you're looking for big rats. When it comes to the art, yet again, I like this style. I like the more Asian-inspired kind of looks, and I do like how I guess this little tangerine here, or orange, whatever you want to call it, and I guess they're just kind of going around and stealing them, having a good old time. I like it. It's nice. It's nice. Then we're gonna go to Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni. I like this card a lot. Just more because of the idea, I think. This is a 4 colorless, black legendary creature rat ninja. You could use this as your commander. It's probably not as good as your commander as it is in the 99 for a rat deck, because it is, so in addition it's a 5/4, but then it has ninjutsu for 3 colorless and a black. Ninjutsu is basically, if this is in your hand, when a creature is unblocked, you can pay for ninjutsu cost, and basically you take the creature that was unblocked, put it back in your hand, and then you put Ink Eyes out, and it will attack the opponent instead. So, in addition to the ninjutsu, whenever Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, which is really nice. This is basically, I feel like with rat decks, you can have a sub-theme of discard cards, because especially with Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni, you'll want to, this is kind of like one of the other big rats out there, I'd say. You could probably focus a commander on this. I still think Marron Gnar is probably better, but regardless, with a bit of a discard deck, you can make people start discarding big creatures from their hands, or good creatures, and then you can start playing them with Ink Eyes. So I really like that. And then you can pay 1 a black and you can regenerate her. So it's also very nice that she has a way to stay on the board after she comes out with her ninjutsu. So that's very nice. When it comes to the artwork, I actually really enjoy these like kind of black and white. Not quite a sketch. It's a little bit more defined than that, I guess. But I'm going to call it sketch anyways. But I really like these kind of things. It wouldn't work for every card, I would say. But when you get these like once in a while, it looks pretty sharp, in my opinion. And the last card here is Rat Colony. Now in the Secret Lair, you get 5 of these boys. Rat Colony is a 1 colorless black creature rat. Rat Colony gets +1/+0 for each other rat you control. So if you controlled 5 rats, they would get 5 rats, including Rat Colony. That means they get +4/+0. So they basically be a, since they're a 2/1, they become a 6/1. And then the other cool thing about the Rat Colony is a deck can have any number of cards named Rat Colony. So Rat Colony is kind of like another staple in rat decks, because I don't think there's like a ton of rats, or at least not a ton of good rats. These are kind of like probably the more infamous ones, I would say. I haven't looked fully into a rat deck, but I do like the idea of a rat deck. Maybe I could keep saying rat. Let's see how many times we get rat in this. But this is nice just because since you're trying to get a lot of tokens out with Marron Gnar, or just rats in general, keep pumping up your rat colonies, and etc, etc, etc. Artwork here, it's kind of interesting because they just look like normal little rats, and they are, looks like these are actually lanterns. There's still like a tangerine orange over here. Yeah, this one's okay. I'm okay with this one. It feels more normal to me. Now, overall, what do I think about the artwork? I think it's kind of weird. And I'm not sure if it's bad or not. I just find it weird because basically all these arts are pretty much really different, at least to me. The tangerines line up here, and you have the lanterns that line up there. The ink eye servant of Oni doesn't match up with anything, at least color-wise. And I don't think it matches up with anything theme-wise. I can't really tell too much what's in the background. But it's kind of weird that they don't match at all. I don't know. I would have liked to seen, like, I like one each individually. When I look at them all together, I'm still not sure if it would have been better to make it themed better. Now, you know, on the contrary, it is nice to have like a little bit of variance and stuff. So I don't know. It's probably just taste on that. And I would have liked to seen what a fully themed one could have been. Kind of like if we look at Restless in Peace back in the first Secret Lair sets. That one was themed where you had basically a panorama. And that's kind of a neat idea, and I like that. So here, I don't know if a panorama would have been correct, but it could have been interesting if they did something like that. But anyways, enough of the rats. Let's go ahead and end off our night with a couple of random cards, as always. So random card numero uno. Infinite Reflection is a 5-colorless blue enchantment aura. So you enchant a creature. When it enters the battlefield, attached to a creature, each other non-token creature you control becomes a copy of that creature. Non-token creatures you control enter the battlefield as a copy of enchanted creature. So basically, what's neat about this is, so if an opponent has a really, really powerful creature, for instance, maybe like the 16/16 Indestructible Worm or something, you just be like, all right, and all my creatures are now that worm. And that's kind of spooky. If you have enough creatures anyways. Or if you kind of build it more around, oh, I have very powerful creatures, like Krakens or something, then you can Infinite Reflection, make all your stuff Krakens. This would be neat. This would probably be like, okay, if you have a tribal of some sort, and then you basically made all your cards. So in tribal, sometimes your weaker cards just kind of become like, okay, they're here. Like maybe in elves, your Land of War elves will eventually kind of like, okay, it's a 1/1 that taps for green, which isn't bad. But after a while, you're like, okay, I wish I could do something else with this. But if Infinite Reflection was in green, then you'd be like, okay, I'm going to put out, I don't know, I'm just going to use Vigor, because I used Vigor in my elf deck. So basically, you're like, okay, I'm going to enchant Vigor, and now all my elves are Vigors, and that's spooky. Because now, basically, whenever you deal damage to a creature, all Vigors will proc off, and they'll give all your creatures like a billion +1/+1 counters. Maybe exaggerated, maybe not, I don't know. But as an explanation what Vigor does, he is like an elemental incarnation, and basically whenever another creature would take damage or combat damage, can't remember exactly which one, but whenever they would take damage, let's say, then Vigor would prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So, for instance, if you were to say, let's say if you had 4 elves out, you put Vigor out, and then you Infinite Reflection it somehow, then at that point in time, that means you have 5 Vigors. Then someone does, for some reason, they do 4 damage to one of your Vigors. Well, at that point in time, your one Vigor is supposed to take 4 damage. I'm pretty sure all your other Vigors will... Now I'm curious about that. Because I think Vigor's proc says basically when it happens, you prevent it. So I don't know if, because there's 4 Vigors, it actually happened, or 4 other Vigors, I should say. If it says there's 4 other Vigors, I don't know if it happened 4 times in the sense of, should they get only 4 1/1 counters or 16 1/1 counters? Because since the damage was prevented from the first Vigor proc or trigger ability, then would the others go off? I don't know. If you find that out, let me know. But yeah, regardless, interesting stuff. Could be cool. In mono blue, I can think it'd be good for merfolks, and then you put a Leviathan out, and then people are spooked, basically. That's what I could see. Let's go to our Second random card of the night, which is going to be Necro Dispel. This is a 1 black creature human wizard, and it has 2 abilities here. It is also a 1/1 creature, but this has 2 abilities, which is you can pay a forest, tap, add 1 mana of any color. And then it has the other ability, you can pay white, tap, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to any target this turn. So this is Abzan creature. I don't think it really matters that much. I mean, it has mana fixing, I guess, and then if you don't need the mana fixing, you can eventually prevent some damage here and there. But I think overall, it's not going to be great for any deck, just because there's better stuff out there. If we're going for a budget deck, I still don't know. I think I'd rather just put a lower 1 elf or something in there, or at least some sort of mana ramp budget creature. So, I guess if you really are really hurting on color fixing, then I guess it's okay. But I think with green, you could probably color fix your way out of that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time, and have a good one.